Okay, guys, so I'm going to run through the basic steps for doing a formalist take of a poem. I'm going to use this poem here called Living in Sin. I just want to demonstrate it for you so that you can then do it on that poem I assigned you. You can do it yourself. So let's read the poem once with me and we'll see what it's about, and then I'll go back and do the things that it says to do. Living in Sin by Adrienne Rich. She had thought the studio would keep itself, no dust upon the furniture of love. Half heresy to wish the taps less vocal, the panes relieved of grime. A plate of pears, a piano with a Persian shawl, a cat stalking the picturesque, amusing mouse had risen at his urging. Not that at 5 each separate stair would writhe under the milkman's tramp, that morning light so coldly would delineate the scraps of last night's cheese and 3 sepulchral bottles, that on the kitchen shelf among the saucers a pair of beetle eyes would fix her own, envoy from some village in the moldings. Meanwhile he, with a yawn, sounded a dozen notes upon the keyboard, declared it out of tune, shrugged at the mirror, rubbed at his beard, went out for cigarettes, while she, jeered by the minor demons, pulled back the sheets and made the bed and found a towel to dust the tabletop, and let the coffee pot boil over on the stove. By evening she was back in love again, though not so wholly, but throughout the night she woke sometimes to feel the daylight coming like a relentless milkman up the stairs. Okay, this is perfect because this poem is not easy to figure out what's going on in this poem, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to see that if the steps as I described them would actually help you get closer. Because the idea with formalism is I'm not supposed to use anything but the poem. I can figure out this poem if I just look at each part of it, and examine each part and try and take notes. All right, I've read this poem a bunch of times, so I get it. I've done that. And the next step I said was look up words you don't know. Now, the only words I don't really know. Well, I know them all. Heresy is kind of a difficult word sometimes. That just means kind of anti-religious or going against a religious doctrine. And maybe sepulchral, I looked it up. It means tomb-like or gloomy. So that describes the bottles. And the rest, I think, are pretty simple. So now the next thing I said to do, which is helpful, I think don't read per line because it never makes sense if you just stop after every line. You're going to have to eventually put these into complete thoughts. So I will actually physically separate the complete thoughts. That's a sentence. Let's see, here's a sentence. I'm going to separate that. Here is a list of stuff. Still make it a sentence. Let's see, not that at 5, I'm going to separate that as a thought by itself, and this is kind of a parallel thought. The morning light so coldly would delineate these bottles. That on the kitchen shelf among the saucers a pair of, okay, and that's all, okay. Now we get to the guy. Meanwhile, he sounded a dozen notes. He does all this stuff. That's him. While she, jeered by minor demons, she does all that. Let's end after the stove. And let's take a look at the last thing. By evening, she's back in love again. Yeah, that's all one sentence. I've now broken it down to separate parts, you know. In general, I mean, I can kind of tell a little bit what this poem's about, but it isn't an easy poem to read because she's kind of subjugating ideas within ideas, and so it's a really densely packed a bunch of words. And so it's going to take some time to get through it, but it is worth it. That's the other part. Poetry should be worth it. So let me go step by step, and I'm going to take notes by using my insert function up here. She had thought the studio would keep itself. Let me take a note right there, man. She had thought the studio would keep itself. Here's my comment there. She. So this is about a girl or woman. All right, and the studio would keep itself. Maybe studio apartment. Maybe that's what it make. It would keep itself. It would stay clean, something like that. And notice I'm putting question marks. I don't know. Next part. No dust upon the furniture of love. I don't know. Furniture of love. That to me. She didn't think there would be dust. All right. I think I get it. She didn't think she'd have to clean it all. Furniture of love. I'm gonna say that's I think that she was in love when they moved in. It's all everything's fine. Everyone's in love. Why should anything be dirty? So she thought everything would be fine. All right. Half heresy, and we said that's gonna be it's almost sacrilegious to wish the taps less vocal, and I think the taps must be the plumbing. Okay. So I can make a comment. So I think this ties into this. So it'd be sacrilegious. How do you spell that? Who knows? All right. And to hope the plumbing was quieter. So the plumbing's making noise, less vocal. The panes relieved of grime. It's the same thing. To wish the windows were clean. I'm getting a picture. So basically, she's in a dump. I'm gonna write that down. That's my note. It's a dump. There. I'm getting it's a dump. Okay. A plate of pears, a piano with a Persian shawl, a cat stalking the picturesque amusing mouse had risen at his urging. I don't know who's his. I'm just gonna write. I'm gonna take note of that. I say, who is his? Is it her boyfriend? Maybe. I don't know. And the list of stuff there seems kind of romantic or artistic. Something. It's nice. Um, Picture it, but again, it is a cat and a mouse. I don't know if they have rats in this apartment. Not that at 5, each separate stair would writhe under the milkman's tramp. Okay, so what I'm getting from that is that, okay, all right, it's like in the morning. The morning, stairs make noise. It's just more of that stuff about how things aren't that great in this apartment. When the milkman shows. So the milkman comes up, he makes noise. I kind of, these 3 parts are making sense. This part is, I'm not sure what to do with that yet. And again, we're having the same, that morning light so coldly would delineate the scraps of last night's cheese and 3 sepulchral bottles. So the morning light coldly delineates. That, I think to me that means it's kind of like, it's cold, meaning harsh. It's showing the truth. Basically, you got leftover cheese, and those bottles are kind of like, tomb looking now, they're sad. On the kitchen shelf among the saucers, a pair of beetle eyes would fix her own. Well, that's pretty, she's got bugs in the apartment. That's what that means. All right, bugs. I'm going to write roaches right there. Roaches. Now here, envoy from some village in the Moldings. I sort of see what's happening right now. It's like that's a fun way to look at roaches. But they're still roaches. But still roaches. Because it does say, that morning light would coldly delineate these things. It kind of makes me want to go back here. I see this plate of pears, piano, Persian cats. It all seems romantic, or yeah, it kind of seems romantic. But I get the sense this is at night. All right, I'll go back. Okay. Meanwhile, he with a yawn. So now we're with the boyfriend. I'll take a note there. We've shifted to the boyfriend. And notice that she is. What is she doing? She's trying not to wish the place was nicer. And he comes up. He sounds a dozen notes on the keyboard. It's out of tune. Shrugs at the mirror. Rubs the beard. Okay, this guy. I don't know. He seems like he's a musician or kind of a hipster. A musician. But he doesn't seem concerned about her thoughts. He seems a little indifferent to me, based on this. I go back to her. While she, jeered by the minor demons, I'm going to stop there. I want to take a note on that. I think to me it makes sense. Demons, maybe that means doubts. She's got some doubts here. They're minor. Also not large. They're minor. And here, she pulls back the sheets, made the bed, found a table. Okay. So she's doing housework here. Right, this part. Housework. But because right here she lets the coffee pot boil over on the stove. It looks like she's not really that good at it. Not good at it. She's kind of inexperienced. Maybe she's really young. She doesn't know how to do this. I don't think she's done this before. By the way, this goes back to, I should have started here. Living in sin. This is a very old term. Term meaning living together without being married. That's what I don't know. People don't use this term anymore. It's mostly used for humor, but that is a pretty common way of saying, oh, those 2 people are living together, they're not married. Okay, so she's jeered by the minor demons. Now you hear it. By evening, she was back in love again. Well, all right, back in love again. So she falls out of love in the day because she can see clearly, right? Back at night when it's dark. Though not so holy. So I'd say I'll stop right there, take a note. Though not so holy. So not as in love as before. So the love thing, it's kind of waning. It's going away a little bit. Throughout the night, she woke sometimes to feel the daylight coming like a relentless milkman up the stairs. This is the second. I already remember. This is the second time we dealt with this. Second milkman. and he's with the daylight, and with daylight is reality. I guess you can see what's really going. And I like the fact that he's relentless, meaning it's not going to stop. Okay, all right. Well, I took some notes here. I could do a lot more probably with a pen. I just want to kind of do it in an electronic way. So if I review all my notes, it's okay. Living together, they're not married. They're not married. That's kind of important because right away it looks like this girl's a little bit like she doesn't really get what she's doing. Cancel that. She thought it'd be easy. It's not, and the place is a dump here. I can tell that. Here, it's not a dump. Seems nice, but this is all, when it says had risen at his urging, I think this is the guy kind of making it seem that way. And then at 5 o'clock, you hear those stairs, milkman comes, and here's the morning light, and you can see what really is there, which is not romantic at all. It's just, here are the bugs in the apartment. She's trying to make it nice, but it's not. And he gets up, and he doesn't help at all, and he's not particularly involved with what's going on in her mind, and he takes off. She's got these minor doubts. She tries to make... these things she's doing right here, she is trying to play house. She's trying to act like she's a married person doing what a married wife would do, but she's not a wife, and she's young. She's not good at it. And this is the most important part to me. She falls in love with this guy at night, but not as much as she was the night before. And she knows sometimes in the night she knows milkman's coming, daylight's coming, so it's not going to be what it was. So if I make an overall observation here, what am I getting? Let's see. I think similarities or repetitions. You got daylight with reality. The milkman coming in. A lot of details about how ugly the reality is of that department. And I have a contrast between her attitude, trying to make it work, and his not really caring. And go back to the title. Why should he care? He's not married. That's kind of what this thing is. So now my overall point that I think brings all perspective. I think this is a poem about young women. I don't think it's about the guy. It's about the girl. I say sometimes a young woman or girl can get swept away by romance, put herself in an unrealistic position in a relationship. Eventually reality will intrude on romantic fantasy. Ooh, that's good. That's pretty good. Romantic fantasy. It might take a while, but it happens. I think that what's happening here, what we're seeing in this poem, is a woman who is slowly waking up to the truth about her relationship. That's not what she thought, and they're not married. And just because you're in love doesn't mean everything's going to be fine. It's actually going to take a lot more work than she thought it was. And I wouldn't be surprised if this relationship ends, but it's going to be a few more months before it does. So what I've got here, I've taken my notes, I've looked at each part, I've looked for some similarities and contrasts, and I made an overall point that I think fits this poem. And I did it because I'm a formalist. That's it. The meaning is done. As a formalist, I hereby say this poem is in the books. No more work needs to be done. So now you have to do the same thing with the poem I've assigned. Okay.